Boom, we're live. Like that?
Yes.
I know. We're about to make an update to that one. But anyways, well, thank you so much, David, for hopping on CityClips. CityClips is all about North Florida business and tech. And I wanted to bring you on to talk about all things Domi because we're fellow board members there and how you got started over there as a board member. One of the original main board members that started since its inception. So before we dive in, let me go ahead and give a brief intro for those who don't know you. Uh, David White earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in accounting at FSU. With over 17 years of experience as a CPA and partner at a regional accounting firm, he has been delivering accounting and tax planning solutions for both businesses and individuals. Currently, he serves as the CFO of LobbyTools and providing users with access to Florida's legislative news and information. And he is also serving as a volunteer board member at Champions First Credit Union and treasurer and board member of both Champions First Credit Union and Domi Station. So thank you so much for joining on our humble show.
Thank you for having me.
So I know you had a funny story to tell, kind of like how you were there when they first started. So tell me a little bit about the earlier days of Domi.
Yeah, sure. Well, nothing like self-deprecation to to be funny, but I was telling you, we were talking about the early days, and man, has this time fly, because it does feel like just yesterday that I actually went to go talk with one of my former partners at my former firm that I was with. His name was Mike Whitney, or is Mike Whitney, and it had been recently after President Eric Barron, was at FSU, and he really tried to instill, or he championed the idea of an entrepreneurial university. And that happened to be at the same time that one of my just kind of growing motivations, which is born out of my original desire to help people, which is why I went into accounting, in my own dorky way. I guess that's how I can help people. And so I went to Mike and I said, something's just gnawing at me, which is this this opportunity gap that I'm seeing. Here I am working with a bunch of smart people and working with a bunch of smart clients, and they're paying us a pretty penny for quality tax advice and accounting and all that. And however, I just keep hearing and bumping into, and now seeing on social media, or whatever that was at the time, young business owners and entrepreneurs, now that some of these barriers and walls have, or at least back then, started to initially start coming down, making entrepreneurial activities more accessible, they just keep fumbling and tripping over themselves because they're just doing stuff that they didn't know that they shouldn't do, or not doing stuff that they didn't know that they should do. And it's not their fault. They're just inexperienced. I was like, I really want to try to find, I just read this article about President Barron wanting to have an entrepreneurial university. It's just some way that we can be a part of it. And just kind of serendipity being what it is, he had just recently had a conversation with a friend of his, Jake Kiker, who is a board member, now chair, and he's like, we were just talking about this. He then introduced me to Jake. He and Jake then introduced me to Micah. And then a certain amount of time later, we were sitting around a boardroom coming up with a 1023 nonprofit application for Domi Education. And so, jokingly, I've always am now just the boring guy in the background, just the accountant, the bean counter. But while all the smart people go out and build cool stuff. But honestly, that's my little niche right there. So that's what I did there. That's why I got involved with FSU and Domi in that regard, in terms of trying to do my little part in bridging that opportunity gap. And now that is still true, but with new challenges. Now we have the prevalence of information out there. Now we have a thing that we make fun of, at least, tax TikTok, which is all the horrible advice you can get. It used to be you would do something and you would have an issue, you would because there was not enough information out there, not enough guidance. Now there's a bunch of guidance, and it's extremely easy. In fact, it's almost predatory in that you can very easily find bad advice. Sign up for things, pay additional surcharges to have stuff done that otherwise is free. I mean, there's lots of little things that are on social media now that really can trip up an unmindful entrepreneur. And so from the having too little information and guiding people that way, to now saying, no, don't do that. Don't listen to that. Yes, there's some merit there, but that's not applicable to you. So now still helping people navigate the noise, but just in a different environment now. So yeah, that's I've been involved with Domi for from the jump, on the coattails of the David Lawsons and Micahs and Jakes. But I nonetheless, throughout that entire time, I have enjoyed the process all throughout. Meeting a bunch of great people, both mentors such as David Lawson's mentor to me now, and to mentees. I met the Divvy Up guys back when they first started at FSU, and so it's been have made many friends along the way, and so it has been, and as Domi itself has its own 2.0 thinking of where do we want to go, what's next. That's been a pretty decent theme in my life right now. As I mentioned on our kind of discussion earlier, I spent 17 years at a regional accounting firm, and then over those 17 years, got burnt out, needed my body and mind couldn't keep up with the intensity, and I just had to make a change. That need for a change, coincided with the company I'm at right now, which is LobbyTools. It's actually a 25-year-old technology company in Tallahassee. They similarly were facing a question about what's next, not based on just well, what did we do last year and then how can we improve it, but a complete first principles rethinking, like what is next, not based on precedent, but what is next. What's our menu of opportunity out there, and so my moment of needing a change coincided with the ownership of LobbyTools wanting to lean into the reinvestment and modernization and improvement and really take these new technologies and tools, LLMs, AI platforms and whatnot. It's going to create a new way of doing business. You're going to have the businesses that are adopting some of these new processes and technologies, and the businesses that don't. And kind of similar to the point of if you coast, that's only going to lead your business into a predictable, possibly, but not necessarily growing direction. The LobbyTools itself is going through a 2.0 phase. And so I needed a new challenge. I had 17 years of backlog of helping people and working with accounting and tax issues. And so now I get to take that same kind of entrepreneurial mindset of working with business owners to now helping this company kind of take its next steps over the next few years as well.
Yeah, and that opportunity to be CFO, I mean, that's a great title. So it's nice that you're there. It's a tech company, and that's a whole nother level of experience for sure. So I really appreciate board members like yourself serving the community, serving Domi all these years. And so one of the things that I said to I think it was Jake, and I used the word stronghold, and it wasn't the best word, really. I mean, because you guys have been the consistent, I guess, brain behind and support all these years. Like we've had board members, we've had some that come and gone and provided service for a couple of years, but like literally, it's 10 years of service. It's not, or more, even behind the scenes before it officially started. So. It's like a founding team, pretty much, that got Domi off the ground.
Yeah, And that's a good point that you mentioned that, because the reason why Domi was created, the reason why Jake and Micah and Mike and David Lawson were having these conversations was because there was a Tallahassee then was in a different place than it is now, and I feel like we're for the better now. And so Domi was filling a need that had a unique team and a unique approach, and just the right amount of kind of forgetting some of the past failures that people would always bring up whenever we would say we want to do this. Well, it's been tried before. Well, okay, we're trying it again. And the landscape is different now. The entire city is different now, and for the better. But that might mean our initial job is done. Now we need job two. And so, um, what I'm getting at there is just the thought that came up in longevity and board member service is great, but sometimes it's natural, and actually some boards have a requirement for rotation for that very reason. You want to have the balance of the people with the wrinkles that know how you got there, and the people with the energy that can provide some of the new perspectives and new blood, new energy. So I think we have a good mix, but we are Tallahassee, and we are Domi, in company I'm with right now, LobbyTools. We're all in this new landscape together,
Right.
and it is it we need to and we will find out how we can take our next step. But yes, I it is in what you're doing now actually is great for that reason. It's taking asking Jake and David Lawson the questions of the origins of Domi and whatnot, and then taking that, mulling it, and then coming up with, okay, here's how we can take our next step. Here's how history and how we got here. There was absolutely a need. There was absolutely a need in the market for this kind of assistance and help. FSU acknowledged that and realized that. Domi realized that and acknowledged that. And so because of that crescendo of support, we have a new mission now. Our mission has a new direction now to accomplish that. So it's change is never fun, but I think we can all take advantage of the opportunity. Of this new look.
And like you said, we're all facing a completely new landscape, really different. I mean, technology, emerging technologies, AI, everything is disrupting a lot of things. Apparently with this recent event that I attended that was actually here a while ago at FSU, hosted at the Ruby Diamond Center, the speaker who used to be go-to-market, GTM at OpenAI, he said the first three of disruption would be finance, would be education, and healthcare. And I was like, oh, that's not good. But it's going to take some time. I think, from what I'm hearing now, even Microsoft is walking back. They put a ton of money into AI, and then they realized, oh, wait, they kind of overinvested. So, the AI still makes mistakes, and it's not quite there yet to completely replace human beings.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's actually one of the that is one of the exciting things about really going from that actually has been one of my biggest challenges, going from a 17-year experience with a CPA firm it's a CPA firm. It's pretty boring and basic and black and white, and we don't use all the cool new technologies. We use the ones that got us there in the first place, and not in a bad way. Just it's comfortable and it's predictable. And so one of my biggest learning curves going from that environment to a very a modern SaaS company is I had to get comfortable. I'm not comfortable. I had to begin to get comfortable with a ton of new softwares and programs and whatnot. But one of the cool things is having actually the ability to, or the experience in the kind of older generation, and being not that young myself, unfortunately, and also then seeing some of these new technologies that, such as you described, they're not always right. They can be right, but they're many times not, and they're and so what we're doing, what our challenge now is taking this 25-year-old company with all this gray hair, institutional knowledge, data, and using the people that we have that I can't even talk to at times because they're literally talking in a different language, tech language, and to take this human ability that we have with the experts in Florida legislative procedure and politics, with technology and LLMs and AI, and be the human in the loop with Florida legislative intelligence, so that there there will always be the ability to find an answer and get information, but we want to be the number one source for reliable, trustworthy, accurate data and information, by having just the right amount of technical expertise, with the right amount of technology expertise, and kind of keeping pace with the new it's both really exciting and also really terrifying that every time I look at a new news article about AI developments, it's daily changing, which is great. Provides opportunity, but it also is, for someone that is a little bit more of a routine person, like which I am. It's not comforting. But that's the space that we're in right now, is trying to have that balance of 25 years of experience and data and know-how with the technologies that are out there now, and trying to, how I truly feel, which is trying to be not just the technology company that has been around for one generation, but to build and grow the platform and software to be a technology company that will remain, which is ever challenging now I mean, it's just, to keep up with technology requires a constant steady eye. And so that's the challenge that we're facing. I get to remain the boring accountant in the background, and just to kind of get my popcorn and see all this cool stuff that is being developed out there. And all the while, if I can continue to help young I say young, doesn't need to be young in terms of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs with their questions. And actually, that's funny. So when I first started getting involved with Domi, it was related to the want to help bridge the opportunity gap with young entrepreneurs, young and experienced entrepreneurs. That then led to the series of conversations that led me to meet with Jake and David, and then Domi being formed, but then also getting to meet with Ron Fraser at FSU, Wendy Plant, and then Dr. Fiorito, and then that back in the infancy days of the Jim Moran College,
Yeah.
they even were out of like an office in the College of Business. Long story short, there I got introduced to a young, this time in age and experience, a young entrepreneur named Summer Kallenberg. Now it's Summer Griffith. She's now married and has a beautiful baby. But she formed a company called Drip Drop Fitness, and I'm actually looking at it right now outside of my window. Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's just,
great.
it's coming full circle. Now she's from FSU to now neighbors. I got to see her, and again, be the boring accountant in the background. Got to see her grow from literally a student in a student business, to our student kind of born business, to now she has through challenges, I'm sure failures at times, um, you know, probably more bouts of uncertainty than not. I got to see her go through all of that, and now she has a very successful. I just pulled it up online before a second ago. 152 reviews, all 5-star. I mean, what a successful entrepreneur that came out of FSU in Tallahassee. And I got throughout all of her challenges, at least I guess, I hope, I could say that at least tax and accounting wasn't one of them. So I got to at least help her out in that regard. But it's
That's
really
great.
fun for someone that is not. I'm very risk averse, and so entrepreneurship is just naturally kind of outside of my comfort zone. And so which is why boring accountant in the background, at least I can watch her succeed the way she has, and the divvy up guys the way they have, and all the people that I've met throughout the Domi experience have had, and I guess that's entrepreneurship. They've had challenges, they've had failures, but they've had net moving in the right direction and net winning. They just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. You might take one step back, but then it's 3 steps forward. And guess what? You don't know that those 3 steps forward are even coming. You just keep at it, and then they appear. And so it's been fun being on the sidelines to help people and watch as they not only grow themselves, but they grow Tallahassee.
And you've contributed as a mentor, and it sounds like advice too. And is that part of why you've stuck around so long? It's not like they're strong arming you into staying kind of thing. I don't, it's that we don't have we didn't sign any 10-year agreement. I've heard, I didn't realize this, but apparently board members can sign an agreement where they have to stay on for 5 or 10 years commitments, right? But yeah. No, I'm a fan myself. That's why I joined the board this year. So,
no, that actually the Domi experience in my involvement with them has actually been. I'm not going to be surprised when the day comes, if it comes, in which Domi Education has a 10-year cap. Or at least kind of a cooling off period of some sorts. And so I will not be surprised, but I will be disappointed, because it has been, the reason I've stuck along is because it's been a very rewarding experience to, again, help people. And they would have found that if they didn't talk to me, they'd hopefully talk to someone else, but to know that I helped them solve a problem, or at least begin to solve a problem, or get out of a problem that they otherwise wouldn't have had, or they would have had an incremental amount of uncertainty or fear or just avoidance that I get to help them through, and that is why I've stuck along, and I'm looking forward to being a part of whatever discussion goes into the process of finding out how Domi can help the next generation of entrepreneurs. I think we really succeeded in doing what the main mission was, but now that mission seems to have, we've received resources to replenish some of the efforts that we previously had to endure ourselves, and so we can take a breath and maybe see where we can devote. We have a great team of people, and if we can, it's the new challenge. What's next? We can think about where to direct this combined board in team of energy and attention. Where do we want to direct it next? That's our new challenge, and so I'm looking forward to remaining a boring guy, accountant in the background, and we'll play my part where I can. But the reason I've stayed is because it is fun and rewarding.
it is, and it's really exciting. I mean, more recently, even though I didn't fully understand the mission in the beginning, because I was just a community member and I knew Micah. And then more recently, in the last 5 years, I started understanding more. And then when the impact report came out, I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I didn't realize all of that had happened and transpired for several folks, like Divvy Up as one of the examples. Or we know several companies that have started here with a small office and now have a team of 10 and have a bigger office somewhere else. There are folks that, it's a volunteer, in terms of the impact report, it's a volunteer submission. So not everyone has submitted their numbers. So the number is actually probably bigger in terms of impact. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. I get it now. I know now why Domi exists. And like you said, there is the need now to make some adjustments. And David Lawson, to his credit, had said, FAMU and FSU has supported Domi all these years. There wouldn't be Domi without them. And now even TSC as a community partner has been wonderful. So with all that said, it really has been a community effort. And with folks like yourself and mentors like yourself, Domi wouldn't be Domi where it is today. So one thing I wanted to ask you as we continue, well, I'll wrap up soon because I know you probably have to run soon. David had mentioned some really interesting things too about, now that thought is going to eventually come back, but I had two questions, follow-up questions. Is that it was related to finance, because one of the struggles that entrepreneurs have, especially early stage entrepreneurs, is financial resources, education. We're not really great with money. I can speak for myself. We just want to create things and build things. And so we obviously want to make money and be happy to make money while doing what we love. But I'm sure you've heard it over and over again. It's like a lot of the common things and the common struggles. But where would you say what would you be your biggest tip for those early stage entrepreneurs? Don't overspend, common sense.
Yeah, I think the and again, the technology is accelerating this ability to answer these questions, or at least to be able to help curate. But really, I think the first asking question, being maybe more truthful and more I can't think of the right word, but more open to your ignorance, admittedly, than be honest to yourself about that. You might be admittedly not the best at it, as you just mentioned, in terms of like, if I have money, I just want to spend it. Or B, you just, to your point of wanting to just build stuff and do stuff, you don't need to be wasting your 3 days researching how to, what entity to be. So I think acknowledging that the fact that there's more that you don't know than you do, that that you want to, you obviously, if you're an entrepreneur, you have this idea in some form or fashion that you want to present. And so just right out of the gates, you have your talent in that area. And if you do have your talent in the area of accounting and tax and all that type of stuff, well, then there goes back to my second point of, well, do you want to be spending your time doing that? But I would say just ask. I know it sounds very like a cheap answer, but asking the right questions to the right resources, such as to the Domis, and say, here's what I'm doing. There's no better time to get it right than from 0 to 1. Just starting something new, and then or when starting something new, just the easiest number to reconcile is either from 0 or to 0, because you know what that answer is. It's just flat 0. And so if you the easiest way to get off on the right foot from an accounting and kind of compliance standpoint is to just admittedly, even if you do think you know the right answer, just double check it, confirm, because it's so easy. And this goes back to my point about the just the landscape of everything is changing. It used to be that you had to hunt to find information about how to do things. Now you say the wrong query in any LLM, and you could be sent off on a completely wrong direction, and then have taken steps that you wish you could take back that maybe you can't now. And so I think so now there's too much potentially kind of corruptible information. There's too much that is either incorrect, bad advice, or there is too much proper advice that's not applicable to that person's unique situation. So I think being open to direction and feedback is probably the number one, maybe not step to take, but mindset to have, and then going from there. And that's what's nice, because there used to not be that. Now we have the Domis of Tallahassee, and so people have at least a great first step of, I know that I don't know everything, and I know that this is a place that I can go to physically, digitally, to be connected with people that do.
That's great. And now I remember exactly what I was going to say in terms of David. He said Domi survived all these years too because of having to pivot at every instance they needed to. And so with COVID that hit, and then more recently now having to make adjustments because of grant funding and everything. So it's pretty amazing to watch, seeing the main team, I say the team behind the team, the board members that help along the way and support the Domi community, the Domi team, and make things happen. So to wrap up, would you like to say anything in terms of, what if you want to end with any words of wisdom, and for anyone who's considering, if they need, and I wish I thought of this. I didn't know all these years that you've been around for that I could have contacted you for financial related questions, but I've only utilized.
I was at capacity. No. No. That's a conversation for a different time. But no, if you were to have emailed me, I probably would have not gotten back to you.
It's okay.
Not in a good way.
It's fine. Yeah.
I didn't mean to not answer that question. I would it's an interesting time that we're in. I suppose every generation can say that, but we are in this transitionary generation of, we're open and we want technology. It's not gonna, well, I guess it can always be like a Terminator type reality, but it's not going to destroy things. It's just going to accelerate our path to future things. But we have two different, that's happening so fast that it's very easy to imagine a world in which, as I mentioned, you're having to do business in two different ways. You're having to do business with the people that don't know how to operate certain levels of technology, that have to maybe show up in person or do something in person. Then you're also dealing with people that want to pay for everything in cryptocurrency. And so that collision of these two different worlds, just generations almost, of this collision of old and new, is going to present itself with a ton of questions, a ton of uncertainty, and that's not even talking about anything beyond in terms of global events and things like that in uncertainty. And so Tallahassee, one of the things, one of the reasons also why I've stayed here, we are a big family, and I feel like the Domi community is that as well. And so we're all in this together. There's going to be, if you feel uncertain and scared about the future, everyone else is as well. And so Domi is a resource. There are a lot of people that have, and this is what I meant about the comment about entrepreneurship, is the people like the Micahs, like the David Lawsons, like the Divvy Ups. I mean, all of them, like the Summers, all of them got, faced a challenge, maybe even did get knocked down, maybe got knocked down again, but then got back up and stayed the course. And so Tallahassee and Domi is it's a community. And I think I would just, going back to my point about the first thing that I would do would just be admit that you need help and have questions. That's going to be maybe a theme for this turbulent time ahead, is for the business community and entrepreneurial community that's out here in Tallahassee and elsewhere, but in Tallahassee, it's not a matter of if, but when you're going to have a question or a moment of uncertainty or not know how to use this type of a. I mean, we didn't even talk about how the complete tax landscape is very likely going to change. That's going to inject a complete new level of kind of chaos in the system. So there's going to be questions. There's going to be lots of moments like that, and so just reach out, ask, and there is a community to support you if you reach out for it.
That's the best. I'm so glad you brought that up and wrapped it up that way. Yeah, you need to surround yourself with people who will believe in you, will support you and cheer for you, and understand when we make mistakes or fail, we need someone to be there to support us who understands fully. So thank you so much, David, for taking the time to be on this show and talk about everything related to that. It was nice to see your perspective behind that, and I'm really excited for where things are going to go with you and your role as CFO at LobbyTools. And really cool, really exciting.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you, continuing to work with you at Domi as we take their as we map out that next chapter as well. Yeah, if anyone has any accounting or tax questions, I think my information's on the mentor thing, but if not, we can figure that out. But yeah, it's been one of the more rewarding experiences to be a part of, and I've met a lot of friends along the way, and have, I think, helped some people along the way as well. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you in these next steps as well. Thank you.
Awesome. So hold on for a few seconds. I'll see you backstage. All right, guys, we will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching the show. For those who are interested in following everything North Florida Business and Tech, subscribe to cityclips.net. Thank you.